And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
I'll alert the media.
Why they would give this man a podcast is anyone's guess.
Then there is what could only be a bizarre coincidence or something else.
Welcome to the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Country music and fine moonshine. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey everyone, Jim here, Boots and Whiskey Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the show. Today we have Krislyn Arthurs here. She just released an album this past Friday, called Honky Tonk PhD. It is absolutely fantastic. It's 10 songs. Every song is a heavy hitter. Like, this is one of those songs from an artist you may or may not know that is just like, this is a no skips album, right? Every song has its place and it's absolutely fantastic. We talked about a lot of things, and we talked about a lot of things that weren't music related on this episode. And that's what I love about this show, where we do a lot of that. We get a lot of soul searching. We do a lot of cool conversations, a lot of cool shit. So if it's your first time here, welcome. Where the hell you been? We're on episode like 358 or some crazy ass number like that. So thank you for tuning in. If it's not your first time here, you know what you're in for. That's it. I don't know who next week's guest is yet because I have to look at the list, which I probably should start doing. I should start telling you who the next guest is, but maybe I'll do it after. Anyway, doesn't matter. Just talking to myself. Sit back, relax. Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for being here. And here you are. You won't be disappointed by this conversation. I promise you that. Krislyn Arthurs, enjoy. I'll give you a quick little rundown. So I don't do any research about you before you come on. So everything we're going to talk about is like hearing it for the first time because it is, right? Because I feel like it's better that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to kind of like let you tell us a little bit about you and who you are, and we'll probably get into some stupid shit along the way.
Hey, absolutely. Hey, I like that. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So who are you? What are you doing? Where are you from? All that good stuff.
So my name is Krislyn Arthurs. I'm a newly transplanted to Enid, Oklahoma, but I'm originally from Medford, Oklahoma. Let's see, what else? I have a 14-year-old daughter. I like to follow around when I'm not out touring on my own. We do competitive softball, so we stay really busy with that. Yeah, I don't have a lot of hobbies outside of music. I like to read. Let's see, what else do I like to do? I'm artsy craftsy kind of. So other than that, I just stay really busy with music.
Nice. So, all right, we'll get into the music stuff, but like, there's a lot of things you talked about that I want to touch on. So you and your daughter play competitive softball together?
No, I'm too old.
Oh, okay.
No, I just drive her around and watch.
There you go.
But no, I have a 14-year-old little girl, and she's a pitcher. She does travel softball. So we've gotten to do that for the last several years. I played softball when I was growing up and in high school, but nothing to the level that she does.
Yeah.
I was more of a basketball player. But yeah, so grew up an athlete and actually thought I was going to be a doctor when I grew up. I wanted to be a dentist.
Really?
Hold
on. Dentists and doctors are two very different things.
No, dentists are doctors. They are doctors.
Okay. Sure they are.
They're an oral doctor.
Yeah.
You can be an oral surgeon, and that's a dentist. They just go to a couple more extra years to do the surgery side of it.
That's fair.
So I was actually a dental assistant for 12 years before I ever started my music journey. So yeah.
So,
First
all
thing
right.
I noticed, the people's smiles.
Yeah, okay. Wait a minute, hold on. So you said fuck being a dentist and started to sing for a living.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, not because you're bad at, because I love what you're doing. I love your sound. I love it all. But like, how do you go from such a solid career to like, well, we'll see what happens.
I really don't know. Like I've always just loved music. Like music has always been extremely important in my life. Even like before I started learning how to songwrite and play a guitar, music has always done things in my life that, you know, I don't, it's just so hard to explain like how music has impacted. It's almost like I feel like music for me is probably what drugs and alcohol is for like active addicts and things like that. It's just like
That's fair.
something that I need to have in my life.
Yeah.
And I loved dentistry. I loved connecting with patients and patient care. And I knew that I always wanted to do something um, for people because I love to take care of people. I love to make them smile and make them laugh. And in dentistry, like that was one of the most rewarding things is like seeing somebody smile for the first time in years and years. And then I started playing music and I realized that I could do something that I truly, genuinely loved and could never see myself doing anything other than that. And then I could actually see people smile and enjoy music and laugh and like kind of seeing the best of my both worlds,
Yeah.
a whole different career mindset. So that's kind of what really veered me back into doing something with music. And I got out of dentistry about 3 years ago. And I just think about how different my life has been since I got out of the field. And, I was doing both for a long, long time, music and dentistry, dental assisting. And, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's just so hard to explain like how it makes me feel like to make people smile. Like that
Yeah.
is I know I'm so ditzy and people are like, you need to be serious, but I'm like, life is way too serious. Like
Yeah.
I don't want, and I know people probably might look at me and not take me as a serious artist or a serious musician, but we have too much seriousness in our life.
Yeah.
And if I can make someone's day and make them smile, I'm going to do it,
You
even
know,
if it embarrasses me or whatever.
I love that you said that because I love this industry, right? I love country music. I love music in general, right? But like, and I know I've lost opportunities because of it, but like I'm the same way. Like everything I put out there, it's all opinion based. It's all, it's not to be taken, it's to be taken seriously, but not too seriously because it's just,
Yes.
this industry, as I'm sure as you know, is fickle, right? And it's
Very.
it takes itself more serious than it needs to, right?
Hmm.
And I have no problem calling shit out and doing it the way I want to do it. And like I think that's what sets us apart from like
Absolutely.
the other ones that are out there. And
Yes, and that's, I noticed when I started being 100% me, when you meet me in person to where you see me on social media or on my stage, like performing, you're going to see who I am.
right.
And I'm fun, I'm bubbly, you know, I know a lot of my music might come off as very dark, but I feel like with this new record, I've tried to really showcase like who Krislyn Arthurs is. Like I've gone through a lot of things in my life, but then I've also like I hate writing sad songs because there's so much sadness in the world anyways. Like I don't want people to be sad all the time. Like I want to find happiness in the dark things. And I feel like since I have separated myself from trying to do like something that sells or something that's going to
Yep.
might not look as presentable or serious, I feel like I have had more connection with more people than when I was trying to do what was working for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really been important to me, is staying completely true to myself.
You know, I can't agree anymore, because a couple of years ago, when I first started this, I wanted to try to keep up with Nashville as much as I could, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, play the role and you know, all that, and kiss all the ass. And then it got to a point where I was like, this isn't me, right? And then
Yeah.
once I flipped that switch, like the listenership went up, everything just went up, everything just exploded, because it was like nobody wants to hear the same shit over and over and over again.
No.
You know,
Well,
so
not only that, like people appreciate like being real. I
yeah,
don't want to go through life having everything sugar coated. Like,
no,
the one thing that it really irritates me and pisses me off is when somebody tries to sugarcoat something, when I really need like the criticism. Like,
right,
I want constructive criticism, because I can't get better if you don't say, "Ooh, that sucks." Like, probably don't do that again. You know what I
right,
mean? Like, but
absolutely,
you can't learn and grow if you don't do things your own way and like really put yourself out there. I
right,
feel like I've been burned so bad that I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't touch that. It's hot,
right.
but you gotta
That's right, right.
do it.
You know, and it's kind of like, the entertainment side of this, right? Like, you know, we have opportunities to like go to shows and see artists and all that, right? And reach out to PR teams or managers or whatever and
Mhm.
be like, hey, you're going to be in the area. Can we come? Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. And I'm going to tell you, even when we get the no's, we still show up, because
Yeah.
fuck you, you're not going to tell me no, right? Like,
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't understand what the reason behind no is. And this is, I've been seeing a lot of celebrities be put on the spotlight for the way that they're treating people.
yeah,
And that is one thing that just blows my mind, like, in, floors me. Like, I'm just sitting here thinking, and I'm like, you have no idea. Like, I mean, I'm sure they do, but just to treat people like that, or not, like, when you get to a certain level, I'm sure there's like rules and things you have to follow, and, you know, limit time and access. But I don't ever want to get to a point where I have to make somebody feel like they're not at a big enough level to be in my presence. Or,
exactly. Oh
you
my
know,
God.
I have, we've gone and we've worked with some artists that I will never want to work with again. Or I
Yep.
tell my crew, I said, if any of you behave this way, you will not work for me. And, there are times when I have to be assertive if somebody starts to be disrespectful, like to my camp. But I am never going to come in there and act like I am too big for my britches, that you buying a ticket to my show or whatever isn't important to me, because it is. I would not have a career if it weren't for, the people that buy tickets for our show, or, like you taking the time to interview me and visit and talk with me. Like, none of this would happen if I didn't have those people. So
Right.
I can say it's all about me, you know what I mean? But it's not. It's not about me.
Right.
It's nothing would happen if it weren't for the people behind you pushing everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it funny where it's like, on this side of it, right? Like we've had some cool opportunities. Like, don't get me wrong, and I'm sure as you have too, I'm sure, right? But it's almost like, I'm in year 5 of this, and it's like, and I have times and I have moments where it's like, I know I've proven myself enough, right?
Yeah.
And like you still get those moments where it's like, okay, well, maybe we'll take a chance on you, but you have to do these things first. Or, and it's like, come on,
Yeah.
I, I haven't talked to the people I've talked to just because,
Yeah.
you know,
And that's kind of like the situation I'm at in the crossroads in my career is, um, they always say good management's going to come find you, or great booking is going to come find you. But I'm to a point in my career where people are not finding me. So I have to go find them sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean like you're desperate or like you're not of value. You just might not have that in connection like a lot of people have. I feel like a lot of people, they work really, really hard, and some people really do get very lucky. Maybe they
yeah,
don't have to work as hard, or like I say, I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I feel like year 10 I have just now started getting some success, and some of these doors that I have banged and banged and banged on are finally starting to open. But there's still times when I will message 15 managers about a support slot and they will not answer, or they'll answer and they'll be like, oh, sorry, it's full, or, you just don't have enough traction right now, or ticket sales. And I'm like, well, how are people supposed to establish that if you don't just give them a chance? Like, I'm not asking for a free ticket. Like, let me work for it, but you got to say yes so I can. So that's kind of like the main thing we're running into. So I completely relate.
And it's wild, right? Like, I mean, you've been at this a lot longer than I have, right? And obviously it's two very different situations, right? But like,
sometimes no, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, that's really true. Because like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I shot my shot with some big artists in like years 1 and 2, right? And like,
hey, I still do that, and I'm in year 10. I have no business doing it sometimes.
But like, I think we were in year 2. I'm not even sure we were in year 2, but like, we got an opportunity to interview Lanco, like early on, right?
They're, like, they're cool dudes,
right? And at the time, they were, they had just come off a number 1 hit in the whole 9 yards, and I'm like, that was my first instance of like, I don't belong here,
You kind of get like, what do they call that? Like,
imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome, yeah.
Yeah, and like you do, and then like, I'm sure like you get those moments where it's like, holy shit, I don't belong here, and then it's like you're back to talking to people that have 60 followers. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you go from, and I've talked to a lot of artists about this. How do you go from like, for me, from like Lanco or playing a huge venue to back to
Krislyn Arthurs, you know what I mean? That's realistic though, because I've gone from playing with Braxton Keith in front of 3,000 people to playing my own headlining show and 5 people show up. It's the same thing, and it's no disrespect at all, like, but that's just the reality of it. And this industry is all about the highs and then the lows. And it's not always just like this. Like, it's not going to. Like, my career has been like this, tank up, and then, you know what I mean? Like, I drove 12 hours to play for bartenders and waiters, and, it's just part of it.
Yeah.
And, just like I said, and I love that we're so able to be so honest, because I don't get to talk about this.
No, of course you
don't. They don't understand the struggle. They just see like the glitz and glam on social media and the flashy lights of the shows and the people standing there. And I'm like, yeah, but yesterday we had nobody there. But
it's funny. It's funny because like we kind of like shifted. We used to be dealing with artists directly, right? Where I would message somebody on Instagram and be like, hey, let's set this up, yada yada yada. Now we're at a point where it's like, this thing is bigger than I ever expected it to be. Yeah. So now I'm dealing with like PR teams and this, that, and the other thing. And like, I talked to, an artist yesterday, and their PR team was like, here's a list of things to talk about. And I'm like, I didn't read a single word of that thing. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
they're trying to censor you.
Right. And it's like, you're not going to tell me how to run my show. And I've gotten into that. Right. And I've lost people doing that. Like, at this point, I think I could talk about it. Like, we were in talks to have Braylon on. Remember Braylon? He was kind of big like 2 years ago. Well, like, I talked to their PR team, and I don't think they liked my answers, because I was like, listen, like, they're like, can we have a list of questions? I'm like, I don't have them. You're not getting them, because that's not how we do it. And it's like, it is what it is, And then like, I have emails and long email chains about some of the biggest artists, and like we go after like the Texas red dirt scene now at this point, because it's just easier and better, and the conversations are funner. More fun, whatever. And like, I have one person on my list that will probably be on this year that is going on a major tour this summer, and it's like, they're like, yep, you're on the list of one of our interviews to do. And it's like, how does that happen? It's like, how am I okay enough for this huge artist, but not for somebody hasn't been relevant in 2 years?
Well, I will tell you, and this is the best advice that I've gotten about people that tell or like maybe a venue kind of, in other words, kind of shits on you. I hope that's okay to say.
Yeah,
But,
listen, I'm
those
a
are
New
just
Englander. You can say whatever the fuck you want here.
so, those are not the people or establishments that you need, that you personally need to be with,
Right.
because in one way or another, like, that's the universe protecting you from something,
Yep.
So obviously there's a reason, and I've just kind of learned to take it with a grain of salt, because I have fully seen the universe put me where I need to be, even though I don't think it is. And I've had that to where I have fought tooth and nail to be on a stage and feel like I'm worthy enough to be on that stage. And then, maybe I did get the opportunity and I'm like, maybe this isn't
Yeah.
where I thought I needed to be. It's just kind of like I thought I needed to play in this venue in Oklahoma, and I fought and I fought and I fought. And then I realized, yeah, this is not for me. These are not where my people will ever go.
Right.
And, I just had seen it, and it was in the circuit of everybody that I'd ever followed. And, I've never booked it again. But
Nope.
sometimes, the universe, like I said, will work in ways to keep you humble and keep you grounded. And the people that act like they are too big for you probably are too big for themselves.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's when a lot of times you see people start to kind of like burn them bridges. And if they lost, like a lot of the people that have lost record deals, I have seen this, and I study this kind of stuff, like, to see how I don't want my own career to go. And they get to this point where they're like, nope, nobody can be backstage. You need to go there. Well, they lose their record deal and they have no idea how to book. They have no idea how to, like, have business meetings without somebody doing it for them.
Right.
And I think that's what I've been so thankful for, is I've had to do everything with my career. My fingers are in everything. The booking, the advance for our tour schedules. Like, other than this year, I found Miss Brandy Reed, and she has been such a blessing. But most of my podcast interviews or articles that I've had done media wise, I have gotten them until I found Miss Brandy. And I don't think I could do any of this by myself. I mean, I could, it would just be 50 times harder,
Right.
but you know what I mean? So don't get
Yeah.
discouraged if somebody tells you no.
I used to, right? I used to really take
Yes.
it to heart. And it was like, what am I doing? Like, if I can't, but it's like,
Kind of burns your ass a little bit,
it
huh?
does. And it also makes you want it, right? It's like, like I, I've had some, I'm a big fan of myself, right? Like, I'm an only child. Like,
Absolutely.
I am my biggest fan, right? And
We
I
are
have,
our biggest cheerleaders. If nobody
right,
else is going to do it unless we do it.
right. So it's like, and like, I know the way I do this could be a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more professional, the whole 9 yards. But like, I don't
like the
want,
dirty.
exactly. Like, I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be like, I want somebody to watch this and be like, oh, I could do that. Because it's like, yeah, you can. Like, if I can do this, anybody can do this. Because I'm a retard. And I probably shouldn't say that out loud. But like, it's true, and it's, and then I sit back and then I think about the situations I've been in and the circumstances I say aloud, but like, I've worked my ass off for this. Like, it's not,
Yeah, absolutely.
like, when you have bands or artists that aren't doing meet and greets, but the management says, hey, shoot this person a text after the show and go meet the band backstage, like, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Right.
See, and I understand there's going to come a point, hopefully in my career, where I have to do meet and greets, but I don't want people to feel like they have to pay extra money for me to come out and say hello,
Right.
Like, I will always do my best to try and make it to the merch table, or just stand out in the crowd. Like, after my shows, I go straight to my merch table, and I stay there until the last person leaves. Or, like, if I'm opening for somebody, I literally stand in the crowd with everybody.
Yeah. That's the way you should be.
Yeah, and it's just like, us getting to talk without censorship.
Right.
It's so refreshing that I don't have to be like, oh God, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Now, I'm the queen of putting my foot in my mouth, so I
Well,
try to be
hey,
cautious because I know the internet is forever.
ow.
Um, but you know what I mean. It's just like, it's so nice to just kind of be able to freely talk and
Right.
not have to worry about them being like, oh, yep, we can't be friends because you said that.
Right. And like that's why I do this show this way, because like when I first started, I was like, how do I want to approach this? Right. And the only way I knew how was to just make it like I would, like, you and I are talking, and I feel like I've known you forever just by the banter, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's how it should be. Like, I don't want it to be stuffy or forced or anything like that. And like when it is, trust me, for me, those conversations are fucking brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah, I've done a couple like phone interviews where they and I'm, as you can tell, I love to yap. Like I love to talk.
I love it.
And there have been a couple where they've lasted 10 minutes and I'm like, okay, have a good day.
Yeah.
It's just like they don't give much response for me. I feel like that I can efficiently have a conversation, and I don't want it to be like interview style. I like to have a conversation
Yeah.
whenever we're talking. I feel like it's just so much more natural.
It is. It is. And like I had tried this whole podcast thing with different subject matters before, and it just didn't work. It was just not enough for me. So, like, to do it this way just makes more sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
just so you know, like these, for like us that have to do them a lot and answer questions, in my opinion, this is the way to do it.
Right.
Instead of having just like 5 questions and you don't elaborate on yourself either, because I remember everybody's name that has interviewed me. First of all, this is how I am as a person. I find out everybody's name. I remember their names, and if you ever came to my show, you'd be like, "Hey, I'm, so and so. I was at this podcast or whatever," and I ask everybody their name because it's important to me. And I'm more likely to remember somebody if we have a great connection and great conversation than if you just rattle off 5 questions to me and give no context to any of it.
Right.
I want to know you guys as well as you guys want to know information about me.
Right. And that's why I do it this way, because it's like, people say all the time, you should do a little more research on your guests. And it's like, well, with my ADHD ass, like if I know everything that's coming, I'm landing planes out the window here. I'm not paying attention, and I'm not that does a disservice to you and the conversation altogether.
Yeah. See, and I'm like that too. So I don't really ask a lot. If I'm not familiar with the podcast or listen regularly, a lot of the podcasts that I have run around and visited with, I haven't ever heard of them before.
Right.
So it's really nice to get to know, and then I get to go back and listen to everybody and the way they do it. And it's nice. It's kind of refreshing though.
Yeah.
I feel like we live in such a instant gratification world where we everything before we go in anywhere, and I'm like, I'm kind of the laziest person in a sense. I'm the hardest working person, but I'm kind of lazy sometimes that I don't want to do extra work until it's time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And it sucks because it's like there's times where like I've had artists on here where it's like, they're big names, so obviously about them, right? And it's like those are the tough ones, because it's like, well, I have this laundry list of shit I want to get through, but I also want to stay true to the format.
Yeah, but then there's that opportunity that you might get to see a side of them that most media outlets don't get to because of the way you run your platform. And I feel like that's so cool, because a lot of times we do forget, like, we don't have to just be show ready. You know what I mean? Like we can actually have a great conversation without, the backside of it, of doing what we need to be doing on stage or whatnot. Or, we actually get to be a person, and people not just be like, oh my gosh, and like I said, I'm nobody big, but I mean, I do know, like, sometimes it's just nice to have a great conversation.
Right. And, and like, that's the other part of this where it's like, we have this sort of conversation, and even if it's somebody's tuning in that has never heard of you and just listen to the podcast all the time, they see you as, don't take this the wrong way, but like a real person.
Yeah.
Right.
I want people to see me as a real person.
Exactly. And then in turn, go to your music, listen to it, and like can get a better sense of like where the music's coming from or why it was because of who you were on the show.
So my favorite thing to do is, a lot of people don't know that I do music. Like, people in my life, like my friends and things like that, unless they have known me for a long, long time, like new people that I connect with over time. So my daughter joined a brand new softball team last year. And people are just now finding out that I'm a professional artist. Like, I do music for a living. And they're just now, like, finding out that that's what I do. And, like, I just showed them my music, like, a couple weeks ago. And they're like, you mean to say this is what you do for work and you haven't told us? And I was like, well, it's not really the first thing I like to just be like, oh, hey, I do music for a living, because people are like,
right,
music?
Right.
So, they don't take it seriously. Like, I'm a nurse or I'm a dentist, but, it's like, I just let people know who I am before I tell them, like, oh, by the way, here's a little plug. I do music for a living.
Right. And I'm sure it's got to be, as an artist, that has to be a little awkward too.
It is. And it's like, I feel like the more I've done it and the more I put music out and, the caliber of shows that I've been able to be a part of and things, people are taking it more seriously now. Like, I'm from a town with 900 people, and it was always kind of like, yeah, she does music. It's just a little hobby. But, I quit my full-time job making really good money 3 years ago. And I'm not saying that it pays super well, but it does enough to pay what needs to be paid. You know what I mean? And that's just more rewarding in itself than anything, is I get to go to a job that I love every single day. I might wake up and be taking the door because I can't get an answer from a venue or an artist's manager, or, be put on a show or a festival lineup. But every time I get the opportunity to be on stage or meet the people that come out and see us, like, I love every bit of that. At the end of the day, I can say that I truly made the right decision picking what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, right? What was the moment that you decided, I can do this? I don't need to, be a dentist or work in dentistry. I can just do this. What was the aha moment for you?
I think it was, so the very first time I ever played, it was awful. Worst show ever. The bar manager basically was like, hey, you got to get your shit together or you're going to have to go. And it was just like, no, I really enjoy this. Like, I love this. It's hard, but I really enjoy bantering back and forth when I was doing acoustic shows and I was having to learn how to entertain drunk people. And, I enjoyed that. And it was just kind of like, I did dentistry up until like the last 3 years, so I was a dental assistant for 12 years and then, or 11 years, something like that. And then, I just realized that I would wake up in the morning and all I could think about was doing my music. Like if we had a slow day at work, I'm like, God, I could be literally booking shows, or I could be writing new songs, or, I could be trying to go network and visit with artists or songwrite with other people. And it just came to a point when every day that I would wake up, I would always think about how I could get out of going to work so I could do music more. Or like, I couldn't wait for my boss to be like, hey, it's a snow day, just go ahead and stay home, or I'm going to go on vacation. And it was just kind of to that point where it was like, I got to do this or I'm not going to be satisfied. And, I still do things on the side to kind of make a little extra money here and there. Because sometimes my brain just needs a little break. Like anything, but it's just like, that was really the aha moment, was when I found it consuming my mind more so than the task I needed to be doing at my, 8 to 5, 8 to 6. And it just seemed like I was just so tired by that point. When I got home, I couldn't focus on the things that I needed to. So it
Yeah.
really came down to, ultimately, I was either going to do it and I was going to be all in, or I needed to quit doing it.
Yeah, I love that because I have moments of that with this, because I'm sure I could make money doing this. I just don't have, after working all day, you don't have the brain function for it.
No.
Like it's just,
Especially in this economy, it's awful.
right, right, right. Now, what was the first call you ever received to, open for somebody that was, big name that you went, holy shit, is this real?
I want to say Braxton Keith, but that was the one that I worked the hardest for, and I didn't think I was going to get it. I didn't think at my level I was going to be given the time of day. And that was literally like, I screamed when I got the email. But I've gotten to work with some really incredible artists. I will say, like, my first big artist that I opened for was Priscilla Block. And that was kind of like a full circle moment for me, because I had been in contact to work with Priscilla before COVID happened. We had a write set up. Well, a month before I was supposed to go write with her, the world shut down because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when she went viral on TikTok, ended up getting a record deal. And, I was just kind of left in the dust, never heard from her again. And I got the opportunity to work with her in Hays, Kansas, and got to meet her. And she didn't even remember that we were supposed to work together. But for me, that was a full circle moment. And, it's kind of eye-opening to see that, people that you've worked with in the past just kind of can so easily be left in the dust when you reach like a certain level. And I know she meets thousands and thousands of people, but
Sure.
as an artist, I was just like, it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit.
Yeah.
Made me a little butthurt, because I was like, oh, dang. But I mean, and then again, it's like the same breath, like, I was a no-name. I was just nobody. We had never met actually in person. So I guess I was like, I'm being emotional right now. I need to quit doing that. But yeah, that was kind of like a 360 moment for me, where we had talked about working together. She went mega viral. A few years later, we met and then got to play a show together, and that was really cool. But
That is
by
cool.
far, one of my favorite shows have been with Braxton Keith and Taylor Honeycutt.
Taylor is, Taylor is one of those girls where, we had her on the show last year, the year before, the year before maybe. And she was one of those, like, I wasn't sure what I was going to get, right? And then she
Taylor,
came on
definitely
here.
Taylor.
And like, she was so easy to talk to. Like, it was like talking to your little sister. And I don't have siblings, but I can imagine that's what it was. That's what it would be like, because she was just so like sweet and just like willing to just talk.
Yeah.
And like, I talk about it all the time on this show, where like, when we started this, it was very female heavy.
Really?
It was a lot of female artists. And then it like kind of like died off, and it was like it was all guys there for a while. And like, we've started to get back to more female driven, conversations, which is great because it had been so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, I've also noticed, the style of country music that the women I have on perform, like, depending on what kind it is, they're more apt to talk.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if it's that pop country stuff, like, it's very prim and polished and
Trying not to make a face.
right. Right. But like, when it's the real shit, it's, you girls just want to talk and kick somebody's ass all at the same time.
Yes. We like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely not a polished gem. I'm very rough around the edges, and like I said, grew up in a very small town girl, country girl, pretty much. Grew up very redneck white trash, and I just, that's just how I am. I have a hard time like you said, having conversations with people who just haven't really been able to relate to that kind of lifestyle. And I have brothers too. So I have two brothers. I kicked both their asses growing up. So I didn't have a lot of girlfriends because we all hung out with, all their friends. I had a couple really close girlfriends, but other than that, I hung out with the boys and we went fishing. We rode four-wheelers. We went backroading. We just went hunting, anything to get dirty and just be outside. That's what we were doing. I could still kick my brother's ass probably in Call of Duty on PS3. But yeah.
Holy shit.
But yeah, Taylor is a freaking gem, and
She is.
if somebody deserves it, it's her, and she deserves everything that's happening in her career and has happened and is going to happen, and she is going to be the next big thing. And if somebody doesn't pick her up and see that, they're freaking insane, because she is incredible on stage, off stage, and she is just genuine, and she works her freaking ass off. She does.
She really does. And I talk about it all the time, like this industry, when it comes to females, like there's so many of you, and I don't mean that bad, but like there's so many of you that are so good that the radio just wants to push one at a time, and it's I saw that. You're absolutely right. It's like, I mean, even think about like what they've done with Lainey, right? Lainey is still a name, right? But they pushed her out real fucking quick as soon as Ella made a splash.
Well, and I started doing a lot of research on that because I thought it was weird. I was like, what the hell? Why are we so fast? Like, they just started signing all these females all at once. And I was like, what the hell? We've gone from having 3 females to now we have 6. Or, you know what I mean? And I got to studying and and it makes sense because, they always say in the music industry, like, people start to live their life and their lifespan. And it made sense because Miranda Lambert got out of her label that she'd been with for 20 plus years. Carrie Underwood's not doing much outside of American Idol and Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, whichever one she, so like there's your 2 main female country artists. So these labels have to make space they have all this space from these mega $1 million artists, and now they got to find someone else to fill their shoes. And that's when Megan Maroney, Lainey Wilson, and Ella Langley, and now Caitlin Butts too, is, really taking over the scene. And, it's great to see that, but it's like, hey, we've got way more than just 5 girls like that deserve everything coming to them. And, it's just like, don't just find somebody that's marketable, like that's pretty to look at, find these girls that are out there grinding their gears and touring and writing damn good music, and they're not in Nashville. They're not. They're in Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama. Alabama's huge right now with music. And, people keep saying Oklahoma is, and it is, but, there's way more than just Oklahoma and Nashville. And I think people in Nashville just get so set that that's it. That's the only place there is anymore. And that's what the cool thing about like social media is it's opened up an outlet to where you don't have to even leave your house to find talent.
No, you don't.
Which sucks too. Like live music is dying, but it's just, there's so much talent out and you don't have to uproot your life and move to Nashville anymore.
Right.
Makes it a lot easier, I'm sure, but.
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned Megan because it's like, I've never been Team Megan Maroney.
I'm not either.
And not because,
I'm not
a lot
either,
of it is because
but,
like, I don't, like if like her team was like, hey, do you want to have her on? I would do it, obviously, because I'd be a fucking idiot not to. But like I don't know that I don't know that country music needs a pop singer.
No.
You know, because like that's, to me, that's what that is.
No, and you know, I'm not gonna say that I'm a Megan hater, but
No.
country music is evolving back to great traditional country, I feel like.
Right.
And
I think you're
I
right.
thought it was really crazy that they developed a place for that style of music with the shift in the industry, because a lot of people
Yeah.
are trying to get away from pop country, and then we just created the biggest pop country princess, you know, since Taylor Swift.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know, I feel like eventually she might cross over as pop. She says she's not, but I just feel like her music is kind of, it's on the pop charts. So, I mean,
Right.
I feel like if your music can fit on a pop chart and you're classifying as country, you're probably not country. And that's just kind of
Right.
always been my look. And, you know, I feel like a lot of her style goes after like the early beginnings of Casey Musgraves. And I'm a huge Casey Musgraves fan. Like
Yeah.
her OG music and even her new song Dry Spell, I just love Casey. But, you know, I feel like her Megan's style and things were kind of influenced by Casey Musgraves in a sense.
Yeah. And you know, as soon as the checks come in for, you know, pop albums and stuff,
Yeah.
she'll change her mind real quick.
Which honestly, there's more room for females in pop. And I had this conversation with another podcast several years ago about the pop market, because I had some dumbass try and tell me I was pop country, and I about punched him in the throat, and I was like, I am not pop country. I was so offended. Maybe Moving On sounded a little poppy than I wanted it to, but I am not pop country. I was offended. But anyways, you know, they were talking about how pop music and the pop charts have way more room for females. That's why a lot of them from country actually crossed over to pop. And it makes sense, like with Maren Morris and Taylor Swift, and, you know, Casey even tried her hand at the pop market. But you know what I mean? Like, there's just more room for females in the pop and hip hop, which is crazy that there's not enough room in country music.
Yeah.
90% of your favorite country songs are written by women.
Right. And you know, and you know, the genre has such a rich history of, you know, female artists that are iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there's not, you know, you look at pop and rock and roll and all that, like, yeah, there's iconic females, right? Don't get me wrong. But like, you think iconic females and you think Dolly, you think Patsy,
Loretta.
You think Loretta, Tammy,
yep.
you know, whatever.
That's so funny.
Whomever,
we said
right?
Tammy at the same time.
Because great minds,
That's right.
great minds think alike, you know? But it's just so funny how it works.
It really is. And it's really disheartening as a female. You know, especially in Oklahoma when I was starting out, in this scene that I'm in, I worked my ass off to get accepted into the Stillwater community it took me 6.5 years. And to be allowed to play on the stages and venues there. And, you know, then the guys would just be like, oh yeah, come on in. But you know, it really was a good old boys club for the longest time. And when I started, there were not many females touring in Oklahoma or out gigging or playing any kind of shows. And in the last like 3 years, there's been a huge shift in females, and it's so exciting to see all these women are out trying to make it and putting themselves out there, and it's so exciting because, like I said, there was nobody to work with as a female.
No, can I ask you a question? I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Whether you want me doing it.
I was like, I thought that's what we were already doing.
Yeah, but that's how I talk. Anyway, I'm going to venture to guess that you're not much younger than me, right? And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, we're in the same age bracket,
Yes.
I'm sure, right? Now, when you're growing up, are you aware of what is going on in the red dirt scene, especially in Oklahoma, of the bands that are there? Like, are you aware of the ragweeds and the turnpikes of the world, like as they're starting and growing and developing?
Yeah, we're pretty familiar with who's going to be the next big red dirt artist. And I actually
Really?
cut my teeth with several of them. But
Yeah.
because I was a woman, I'll probably put my foot in my mouth for saying this.
Sorry, let's go viral.
I was not allowed to like song swap with them. But they could song swap
Really?
together. Oh yeah, the boys would song swap together, but they would make excuses when I would ask if I could work with them. They'd say, "Oh, I'm trying to save money for a wedding," or, "Oh, I really need the extra money for this gig," and then turn around and add that they're song swapping with their best buddy. And that was a really tough pill to swallow, because I was like, well, I'm not like traditional females. Like, everybody was classifying a lot of like the females in the Oklahoma scene at that point were like kind of folky, like more slower Americana, like softer, very much softer females. And I was like, I'm not like that. I'm here to honky tonk, have a good time. But the thing is they were red dirt. I'm more honky tonk country. So
Okay, yeah.
I'm not like a rock and roll. I know I like to say that I'm rock and roll, but I know that my voice is not rock and roll. It's very traditional country in a sense.
Yeah.
My songs are more upbeat and a little bit more rock based, but I know, like, realistically, I'm not going to go out and be singing Barracuda or anything like that. If I have to do a cover song. But it's just, it was really hard for a long time because I felt like I never fit.
Huh. I get exactly what you're saying, but it's, so like for me, right? I've lived in Massachusetts my entire life, right? Without the internet, I would not know who any of those artists were, prior to doing this, right? So it's interesting to me to hear it and see it from like a perspective of somebody who lived it, right?
Yeah.
Because like here, it's not like there's a country band or artist coming out of Massachusetts anytime soon that's going to make it big.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen, right? And that, not that it couldn't, but it's not gonna, right?
And I'll be honest, like, I wasn't so CCR and Turnpike, they're all from a totally different area than me, and they had quit music. That, like, they were not doing anything musically when I started all this. So I'm in my 30s, but I didn't get the opportunity to work with any of them yet, but a lot of my friends have, because they're in that area. And
Right.
it's just like, I feel like being a woman has really had a lot of disadvantages and I've had venues tell me they're not going to book me because they don't book females. Like, females don't do well. I've actually had somebody say that to my face. And
Damn.
yeah, and that's been a really humble pill to have to swallow.
Now, do you think that's based on the area you're in, or do you think that's just the sentiment across the board?
I think that is the mindset that society has kind of set for people's mindsets. Because you have to think about it. These females that have blown up didn't just blow up because they're great. People had to say they're great before they would listen to them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I actually just had that conversation with Brandy, is people don't want to support you until it's cool to do so.
Right. Exactly. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's fucked up.
It really is. My daughter's about to get in the car with me, so I'm going to start driving while we're having our conversation.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I don't care what you do.
Okay. She has to go to softball practice.
Gotcha.
So
I mean, we could also stop too if you want. I mean, it's really
no,
up to you.
I mean, if we're still going at it, so I don't feel like we need to stop. If you're okay with me driving.
Yeah. I don't care what you do.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. Is this straight? If I turn
No,
it
it's all right.
sideways, is it gonna make me sideways?
I don't know.
Is that
That's a good
sideways?
question. Yeah.
Does it look funny sideways?
I mean,
Let me turn it up.
I don't know.
I'll hold it. Okay. But yeah, it's been very challenging, but I feel like with the times now, things have really started to change. I start to see females out playing more and more, and that's nice.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it just needs to happen more. And like, yeah, it aggravates me how much of a chance they're not willing to take.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's really irritating to be on that end of not being given the opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the first thing they're like, well, how many tickets can you sell or this and that? And I'm like, well, actually, I mean, in Oklahoma, we can sell tickets, but outside of that, we are just now like expanding our market. So sometimes we can't sell tickets. Can you let me open?
Right. Right.
But,
And then you get a shitty door deal that isn't even worth getting there.
yes. That's why I like guarantees at this stage of the game, is because I know I'm going to make some kind of money, so I can at least pay my guys whether I get paid or not. But when I have to go off of ticket sales and I sell 10 tickets, I'm like, oh shit.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize that artists depend on ticket sales. Like if we can't sell tickets, we can't buy fuel to go to the next show.
Right.
So
Right. Between that and merch sales, like it needs to, those things go hand in hand.
yeah, and it's funny you mentioned merch sales, is because some of the shows, like when we're opening for artists, our budget is like $150. So my pay for the guys, I take it out of my merch sales. So
Right.
I depend on merch sales to pay everybody pretty much right now at this stage of the game. And, that's like, I was listening to Shelby Stone talk about this, and she was like, yeah, I have to budget in, like, I need to sell X amount of merch in order to pay this bill or whatever, you know what I mean? And she's so right. And, like sometimes I turn around and I spend all my money that I'm trying to put back into my merch fund because I'm paying my guys, and I'm like, oh my God, I need more merch and I don't have the money to pay for it right now. So then I have to make some treats or go sub at the school, you know what I mean? To budget for all that. And, so anybody that buys anything for me, I sign everything that they want. We take pictures, it's definitely very much appreciated. And plus, like, buying merch goes way further than anything. Like, that's $30 that somebody could have bought groceries with or something, and they're choosing to spend it on our merchandise.
Right. And then, it's also one of those things where it's nice because it's like somebody gets a t-shirt or whatever, and then there's your brand wherever that person goes too.
Yep. So it was so funny. I have these hats that I had made, and it's the chorus line for Honky Tonk PhD. And it's so awesome to see the amount of people buy them. And I don't tell them unless they've been, to my shows or whatever. But I don't tell them. And that's my last song in our set is Honky Tonk PhD. And my favorite line is bitchin' and complaining. Done some bitchin' and complaining and a lot of hell raising. But it's so fun to like stand in the crowd and see everybody wearing like your bitchin' and complaining hats. See your lyrics that they're buying and promoting for you. But they're also relating to it too, because they're like, oh my God, my husband said I need this. And I'm like, Yeah, girl. I do a lot of bitching and complaining too. So it was just like they're real lyrics that, portray to somebody else's life.
Right. Absolutely. And that's I always love a good merch that does that, because it's a conversation piece too.
Yeah, it is. And they're like, "Oh my God, where'd you get?" Like, I have people ask me all the time, "Where'd you get your hat?" And I was like, "Actually, it's mine. Like, it's got my name on
Right.
it." And
Right.
I know it's so cheesy to wear your own merch, but that's like the one piece that I wear and promote it
Listen,
all the time.
I wear my Boots and Whiskey hat and my Boots and Whiskey sweatshirt everywhere I possibly can go.
Well, I mean, if you don't wear it, nobody else will. You know what I mean? Like,
That's right.
you're your own promotion. And
Right.
I made the mistake one time. I wore my own merchandise walking down Broadway the first time I went to Nashville, and this person that I was working with, they said, number one rule, don't ever wear your own merch. And then I'm like, I literally see dudes wearing their brands on their hats. Like,
Right.
why? But so I only wear that piece of merch. And like, since we're talking about merch, is I make almost all of my merch other than my hats and shirts.
Really?
So I make all my koozies, and I do something. I put fringe on my koozies for the women and stuff, and those have been one of my best sellers. And then I actually just got flamingo koozies that you can blow them up and put them in the pool because of double wide. So I bought those, and I just try to do fun, unique things with my merch. Like one time I had shotgun shells, shot glasses, and that went with my song The Judge. And then I made beer top earrings, like beer bottle cap earrings. And so I try to do things that are very unique and different from anybody else's merch. And I don't keep those same items. So while I have them, and then I go on and move on to the next. So then people get very unique and sentimental pieces as well. As I grow in my career, they can be like, "Oh my God, yeah, I had this," and she's never had it again.
That's awesome. That's genius too. That's the way to do it.
And it's very, like, I feel like I probably spend way too much time and effort on merchandise sometimes, but I feel like that's really important to me because it's a keepsake. Like people are like, "Oh, I need this, this, and this." And I was like, "Sorry, I'm out. Like, you have to come to shows." I don't do an online store because I'm trying to get people to come out to our shows and stuff. But, sometimes I'll do an internet flash sale or something if I'm trying to get rid of things. But other than that, I do not have an online store. What I have is what I have. I don't keep anything extra in stock. I take everything I have to the shows. And I rarely reorder designs.
That's actually genius.
Sometimes I feel like it's really stupid.
Oh, I mean, no, because it makes people, I mean, to me, it would make me want to like continue to support and get whatever the next thing is.
Well, and that's one reason, like, I do that is because I don't want people to come to my shows like multiple times or follow us around and us only have the same thing. I try to keep my merch really fresh and up to date. But, sometimes there are designs that I'm like, okay, these have been really popular. Let me order it one more time, because I've kind of had to learn my lesson with merch is sometimes I'm like, oh, this is going to be really great. Like, I need to get this one. And then I'm stuck with shirts I can't get rid of. And I get tired of that. So I try to that's why I spend a lot of time making little things. Like I have bottle openers they're actually cards. They look like a card, a deck of cards, but they're a metal bottle opener. I just try to do like very unique, different things that people are like, "Oh, damn, this is really freaking cool." Or they're like, "What is this?" And then I tell them, and they're like, "No shit, that's awesome." It's just like little things that nobody thinks about. And I feel like that's one thing that I've always tried to do is I want people to know that I put effort back into them.
Yeah. And as a consumer, right? Like, those are the things I think people are more apt to support anyway.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I would rather buy from Oh, I thought this lady was falling. Sorry. I would rather buy from a company that I have ADHD. I was on another podcast last week and I saw a lady fall down the stairs while I was on a podcast interview. So I thought this lady did the same thing. I was like, there's no freaking way I just saw another person fall down. But anyways, yeah, as a consumer myself, I would rather buy it from somebody who I can have a connection with and a conversation with instead of this big giant that they don't give a shit about your sell or whatever. Like for me, my music is a small business as well.
Right.
And every single purchase is important to me because it goes back into advancing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of music, I guess we'll talk a little bit about it before we round this out. Like, what does your music schedule look like for the rest of this year? Like, are you putting out how are you putting things out? More.
So I put out 2 singles, technically 3. One of the songs have on the record. They've been out since last year, the year before last, not last year. But then I put out a single called Psycho and then my latest single called Double Wide. Those 3 songs are on the record, but the full length record is coming out April 24th. And I'm just going to work on trying to get more music recorded for the next rollout of some more music. I definitely want to be able to follow up with great material after this record. Sorry, Jesse. Cut somebody off.
Yeah, and that, so with that coming out in April, this is when this is going to come out. We'll do it in tandem with that. I think we can do that. Yeah, we'll make it work. And so that the purpose of the conversation and the music kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, I don't have any more really planned for this year unless I do like a deluxe album. So I really, like I said, it's taken me 10 years to get this album out, and I want to give this album the best chance and opportunity that I can. So I don't want to water it down by doing more music after it, until I give it a chance to kind of, get out there. And, I really want it to be the star of the show for a while. I've been going back and forth about doing a deluxe record as well with this, and that might have 4 extra songs on it. I'm still kind of going back and forth on that as well, if I want to do it as a deluxe or later on, towards the end or even early beginning of next year, doing it as an EP. But I feel like I really needed to take a risk with this record, so just trying to push the record and tour.
Yeah, if you ever get yourself up here, let us know because we'd love to see in person.
Absolutely. And you're in Massachusetts, right?
Yeah,
You way up there.
we are way. I guess so. I mean, to me, you're way down there.
Is it cold up there? Over there? I guess you're over there, like over and up.
I mean, yeah, we're over and up. I mean, it's starting to warm up. I mean, we haven't broken. A couple of weeks ago, we were in the 70s for like 2 days, and everybody thought it was summertime.
That's us, and then it went back to 37 degrees.
Yeah, and now we're back to like I woke up this morning to a little dusting of snow on the ground.
Ooh, yuck! Yeah, it was snowing last week here because it went from being there was few tornadoes because it got all the way up to 85, 90 degrees, and then the next day it was snowing. We could not believe it. But now today it's back up in the 70s. So I think in the next 2 days it'll be 97, and then it'll go back down to the 60s. So, yeah.
I would take it. It looks like we're going to get in the high 50s or so in the next couple of weeks, which is pretty on point for where we are. And then hopefully we're in the clear, and I think we're going to have a rainy April.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping not, but we'll see.
We could use the rain, so you can send it down south.
You can have it. I don't want it. I don't want it.
We're pretty dry over here.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a blizzard end of February,
I saw that.
and we got our ass kicked. We got like 3 feet of snow overnight. So
That's
that was a lot of
crazy.
fun.
That was us in
Uh,
January. We got like 2.5, almost 3 feet of snow. We were almost snowed in.
really?
Yeah.
That's wild. Fuck that.
I
I'm all
actually
set.
played a show
Sorry, I
driving.
forgot your daughter's in the.
She's all right. Yeah, she probably says it. But anyways,
Probably says a lot worse.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, my husband is a blue collar man, so he's in the natural gas industry, so he says it all.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's no censorship in our house.
No. Nope.
But yeah, we got a lot of
Man. Well,
snow that one time.
yeah, I'm all done with it. Like, if I could move south, if my kids were big enough for me to move south and be able to like cot them back and forth from their mothers to me, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a long ways though.
But
one day you'll get to move south.
it is. One day. One day. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go so you can get everybody safely where they need to be.
Okay.
And, we're looking forward to hearing from you again and seeing what you're doing. And anytime you want to come back, come on back.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. This was an incredible interview and conversation. I don't even want to call it an interview. This was a great conversation. So thank you so much for having me on and getting the chance to visit and get to know me.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. Well, you take care.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, there it is, guys. Krislyn Arthurs. The end there got a little weird. Not in a bad way, but I wanted to keep talking, but I couldn't let her drive and talk. I wanted to put everybody's life at risk, obviously, for the sanctity of this show, but I'm just fucking kidding. But yeah, like we're definitely going to have her back because I thought there was so much more we could go. We could keep going. We could have kept going, and I wanted to keep going, like I said. But time and shit happens, right? Like she has a life. I kind of have a life, I suppose. So we did the best thing and stopped the conversation. And that's that. So thank you for being here. Episode, I think it's 350. I think we're on 358 in the books. We're grinding to 400. I can't believe it. Next week we'll have another great episode. I don't know who it's going to be yet. Might be a twofer because we got a lot of things we're recording and coming up. So we might start putting out 2 more. Maybe we'll do 359 and 360 next week. We'll see. Tune in. We'll see you next week, guys. Until then, be good to each other. Oh, we're going to see Ben Chapman Thursday night in Providence. So we'll talk about that. Oh, know what else we didn't talk about? We got to hold on. We got to talk about. We saw Gavin Adcock last week, from what I remember. I'm not gonna lie to you, I got pretty banged up. And it was a great time. We did shots with Gavin. If you go back to our social medias, we posted videos and shit of it. We had a great time. A big thank you to Six String here out in Foxborough and Country 102.5 for having us out. And it was a great time. Gavin Adcock, we've given Gavin some shit on this show and on the socials and all that, but I really dig that dude. He's a good dude. I think his heart and his head are in the right spots. I have my love of Zach Bryan and their feud, their tiff. That's on them. But Gavin's music is way better than I expected it to be. And like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't like team Gavin Adcock for a long time. Couldn't get into his music, didn't really care for it, but like it happens so many times, right? You see somebody live and you're like, shit. And like, that's what happened here this past week. But Ben Chapman, like I said, Thursday night, Alchemy in Providence. We'll be there. We'll be there a little late, but we'll be there. And that's that. So stay tuned for all that. New episode next Wednesday. Until then, be good to each other. Have a great week. And keep those boots on the ground and the whiskey in the glass, y'all. Cheers.